And welcome back to Behind the Banthas. This is part 2 of our many multi-part series on the galaxy's first and foremost Dark Daddy. How are we doing, Zenna? How are you feeling as we begin off this next adventure into the life and times of Anakin? Definitely wants to be called Daddy Skywalker. Would you call him Daddy? I would. I would repeatedly. Your silence is damning. Let's continue on.
Let's continue, sure.
During the next early conflicts of the Clone Wars, Skywalker and Kenobi engaged in multiple missions together, becoming closer as a consequence. After one particularly fraught conflict over K2 Nemoidia, journalist Mike Chen published the following about them, quote, "There stood Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, brothers in arms of the Jedi Order, and together they were unstoppable." And I think this is really one of the other big changes in how the war affects the relationship between these two men. They become a lot closer on a personal level, and Kenobi becomes much more willing to give Anakin benefit of the doubt at times where perhaps he really shouldn't. This, in turn, informs Skywalker's command style, wherein he was noted to be a general that was flexible, anti-dogmatic, and had a knack for improvisation, which, you know, it's he's taking after his old dad here. This is very much, it's Qui-Gon shit all the way down. These were qualities that he encouraged in the troops under his command. According to perhaps the most well-known historian of the Clone Wars, Dave Filoni, quote, "As a no-nonsense, by-the-book trooper, Commander CT-7567, better known as Rex, had to adjust to the maverick Jedi General Anakin Skywalker and his headstrong Padawan Ahsoka Tano. Despite his lifelong training and discipline, Rex came to admire and sometimes emulate Anakin's genius for improvisation and his willingness to bend the rules. So, given that the unit under his direct command was the infamous 501st, otherwise known as the War Crimes Unit...
War Crimes Unit?
It's that 501st, the War Crimes Unit. These guys were on fucking Hoth. These guys were fucking everywhere. Like, they're the ones that are killing our people out there.
And it's like when you later look at how these like command structures become more solidified, they think they could just like eliminate grid squares on a map and call it a day, right?
Yeah, and they think that the rules don't apply to them. So
because famously you can just always bomb your problems away.
You can bomb your problems away, everything's fine. You can bomb your problems, you can deport your problems. You don't need to worry about anything that's affecting you. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
you are not beholden to the same rules that everyone else is. And, you know, willingness to bend the rules here, it served them well during the combat here, but they took all the wrong lessons for it later down the line. All the wrong ones.
So what is the details on like what happened in the Clone Wars?
So, well, between the multiple historical accounts of the Clone Wars, we can confirm that not only did the 501st Legion later commit many of the most infamous war crimes of the conflict, but that Anakin himself was very personally fond of war crimes, especially the crime of perfidy, which is a false surrender. He personally did this on multiple separate occasions. This occurs to the point where data that has been salvaged from the T-Series tactical droid databanks shows that he did this so frequently that by the end of the war, these droids had to become specially programmed to recognize him because they would recognize he would do this.
Wait. He
would just go up to the droids and be like, "Yo, I surrender," and then go, "Psych." He did this multiple times. This is a war crime.
Recognized him.
They recognized him personally for doing this so frequently.
Oh, but the clone army is the most moral army in the world, right?
Oh yeah. They would never do war crimes.
Famously,
except all the war crimes. Perfidy is not the only war crime they did, to be clear, but it is the funniest. Yeah. I surrender. Psych is.
Do you see the discussions on like social media, like, you know, on X the Everything Data Bank, which totally isn't controlled by the same imperialist bastards that we're trying to overthrow, but that's different.
Indeed.
But yeah, it's like, oh, but the clone army is the most humane army in the Republic.
They were the most moral army in the galaxy, and they never did anything wrong except for the war crimes.
Why can't the Empire? I don't get the entire Empire versus Rebel stuff, but I don't think the hate towards Senator Palpatine is just justified enough. Having a firmer hand in Republic matters instead of degeneracy and da 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 da.
It's tiresome, and it's been worn out so
Why
many
can't
times.
the rebels just submit the opposition to the Empire in writing? Yeah, no, I don't think that's how. It works.
It's not how it works now, certainly. And the thing is that it's not how it worked back then either. Like, this was war. Famously. And war was fucking brutal. Like, there is never.
Oh, but before we talk about the rebellion, do you condemn so and so? No.
do you condemn the rebellion? Before we talk about any of the war crimes? But do you condemn
the Gorman Front?
But do you condemn the Gorman Front? Yeah, like you see this shit, like this shit's happening now. The shit was happening back then. Like these.
But do you
these
condemn
guys,
Malachor 5?
We're not going to talk about that. So as briefly mentioned, Anakin then also became mentor to a young Jedi named Ahsoka Tano. Again, this is likely not something that would have happened if the Jedi Order hadn't been so depleted from the ongoing conflict, given that Anakin himself is barely a knight by this point and has certainly not exhibited the traits that are usually required to foster an apprentice. Like, he has no patience, no teaching ability, really. He's not a good mentor, or at least it doesn't look like he's going to be one. I assume that he wasn't a great one. Like, it's very difficult to tell. There's not a lot of direct interviews on this specifically. There's not a huge amount of history, and Ahsoka Tano herself is a very elusive figure. Like, she flits in and out of the historical record, and she generally seems to have tried to lay low and not get involved in any of the later conflicts. It's not really known what happens to her, honestly. We think she may have survived, but either way. So, despite their initial propensity for butting heads, Skywalker and Tano eventually found some common ground and respect, engaging in multiple missions as well together during the conflict. We're not going to cover the entire complexity of the Clone Wars here, but there are multiple accounts by historians such as Lucas, Filoni, Winder about how Skywalker bonded with Tano almost as strongly as he bonded with Kenobi, while also significantly militarizing almost every sector of the galaxy for the sake of security during the war. To be clear, Tano also does this as well. Like, yeah, Tano directly goes over. Like, she's involved in a lot of the conflicts around Malachor. Like, it's not easy to really morally judge exactly what her vibe is. But I do think that given that she effectively self-imposes an exile and vanishes long before the war ends, I have much more respect for her than I do for most of the rest of them, you know?
How old was she when all of this militarization was starting?
Oh, she is, during the beginning of this, she's a child. She is like 13.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's child soldiers teaching child soldiers teaching child soldiers all the way down. Like, it's a Matryoshka doll of just pain.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. So it is arguable during the war as to whether it was necessary at the time for the Republic to escalate to the extent that it later did, but what is definitely notable is that this extreme militarization is what led to the fascist imperial control that we see today.
Yeah.
Skywalker is also noted to have trained Tano by foregoing all usual training techniques and safeguards and utilizing semi-live fire exercises.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah. According to the historian Filoni, the teenage Jedi was subjected to being fired upon by stun rounds from the soldiers of the 501st Legion as a form of training to, quote, learn how to protect herself. Does this seem a little excessive to you, or maybe a little paranoid?
I think this seems...
It's a bit much, right? Like, I don't want you to ever be traumatized the way that I fear that I was traumatized, and be vulnerable the way that I was vulnerable. So I'm going to fire stun rounds at you repeatedly until you stop getting shot by them anymore, until you learn to deflect every one of them. This is not normal Jedi training. Normal Jedi training, like you get maybe like a little electric shock buzz if you're failing to deflect a blaster bolt. Sure, that's what the training the droids do. Like it's very, very mild, right? Like it's I've had more of a buzz like that in bed with the people than I have on the training droids. You know, it's fine. It's manageable. I don't have any psychosexual problems from it at all. But like, she is being subjected to full stun rounds. Like unconscious for an hour stun rounds.
Oh wow! Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's
surely not going to traumatize this child.
Yeah, like I'm fairly sure that the best way to train a child is to give them repeated concussions. That's clearly famously good for your developmental health and not going to turn your brain into Swiss cheese. Mm-hmm. So, the war is notably traumatizing for the young Tano, especially when she is still a teenager and given command of significant numbers of soldiers. Anakin is noted to have become hardened to the loss of life throughout this time, and according to historian George Christick, an exchange between the two after a very high casualty loss over Ryloth went as follows. Quote, "It was a trap, Snips," that was his nickname for Tano. "This was not your fault. Tano, I lost so many of my pilots. Anakin, take heart, little one, that's the reality of command." And to an extent, this is true. People will die in war, and they do die in war, but I cannot help but feel that a 19-year-old telling a 14-year-old to blunt their sense of empathy to the horrors of war is probably not a good thing.
Sure, his childhood never affected him.
It never affected him at all. And I'm sure this absolute clusterfuck of childhood never affected her even a little bit. So this clusterfuck of a situation was not emotionally healthy for Skywalker, who steadily over time resorted to more and more questionable methods to maintain victory in the conflict. Historian Stuart Lee reported that during the early invasion of Geonosis, the second invasion, second invasion, right? Yeah, there were multiple assaults in Geonosis. So there's the first large scale one, and then there is a second assault. Yeah, the belligerents and so on. This is after the majority of the Separatists' logistics is no longer based on Geonosis. It's very much kind of trying to mop up what's left rather than doing a massive large-scale assault. But still, during the early scales of this, he personally tortured the imprisoned Poggle the Lesser, that's the head of state of Geonosis at the time. He personally tortured him for strategic information. It appears that this was likely done in an attempt to save the lives of his own soldiers, but he did torture an unarmed political prisoner to do this.
How do you feel about this, Meetra?
Yeah, not great. It's not great. It's not a great look. I've people before. For different reasons than political torture. That was for but I still felt weird about it afterwards.
We're gonna bleep that out, I think. Sorry to the editors again.
Listen. We've all done foolish things in our youth, and by youth I mean about 6 months ago. It's fine. So, yeah, it's famously between. That we're also going to bleep that out. Oh, sorry. Are we doing that? Are we doing? The bit is there. No, we can't do this bit. I don't think we can publicly do this bit. No, we're not doing this bit. We are not publicly doing this particular bit. No, we're not doing this bit. This is a... We're cutting that one out. Okay. We'll get back on topic. So there are other accounts of Skywalker being more willing to use violence, even when his mentor Kenobi was more reluctant to do so. Sometimes this was excessive, but sometimes this seems to have been the right call and definitely saved lives, particularly in the O'Connell accounts of the conflicts on Mandalore and Kairos. It's not a clearly cut and dry thing as to exactly what the right thing to do in a conflict like this is, especially when you are already emotionally rocky and you've had an incredibly dog shit upbringing. So I can understand why at certain points there's been escalation of violence in the war or early strikes, right? Like those are things that happen in the process of conflict, but it's teaching him all the wrong lessons because he is still barely an adult. Like
the only thing he probably has like received any kind of
he has had no emotional education or anything. He's just
not just that, but like, oh, you're just good at this, right? Keep doing this.
That's what happened when he was a child with the pod racing. That's now what's happening as he is a Jedi with war.
Oof.
Because he is the bestest servant that ever there was, and yeah, he's in violent conflict here, right? Like the positive affirmations that he's getting here are war, are like in the context of war. If he fails to meet them, there's a very high chance that he could die. And like he has seen a lot of other Jedi die during the process of the war, right? And like this just kind of compounds the same issues that he was dealing with when he was a kid, right? You perform well as the best servant of the people that own you, or you get hurt and die. Like there's a real incentive for him to just
keep escalating, keep moving forward,
keep moving, and never
keep engaging with violence and so on and so forth.
Keep engaging with the thing that they want you to do, which in this case is violence. There's nothing like violence to teach children and teenagers every wrong possible lesson.
Yeah.
O'Connell further notes that the attitude of the Jedi Code of minimal aggression and proportional use of force was considered a roadblock to achieving total victory. And this view of it being a roadblock was shared by Skywalker's long-term rival and friend of the pod, none other than Captain Wilhuff Tarkin.
Fuck that guy in particular, too. Fuck that guy, too.
He later becomes, Grand Moff. He's involved in a good deal of...
all of the other bad things that they have famously done. Also famously, I believe, on the Gore tapes.
Yeah, he's involved in those heavily. Like the first Gorman massacre, not the second genocide, to be clear. The first Gorman massacre.
First Gorman massacre.
Yeah, where it
was just a bunch of protesters, right?
Where the starship got landed on protesters and murdered them all. Yes, that was Tarkin.
Christ.
And this is where this conflict is where he learns his craft. This is where he learns his brutality. This is where he learns that minimizing your aggression is a roadblock to achieving your goals of victory.
Yeah, because you just kill everyone. It's the same kind of escalation. Corruption is bad because I'm not in it.
Strike first, strike hard, strike well, and they will never
strike well, and they'll never strike back at you, which also famously works.
That's what he is. That's what they think will be the only way out of their conflict. But then that, of course, just generates more conflict. And they just keep practicing this absolute dogshit way of living. It just hurts people, and eventually it leads to genocide.
And so, what does he believe in now? Because you're in all-out war, you've just been promoted. So, is there something significant that changes in his life in regards how he views the Jedi and so on and so forth?
So at this point, he is beginning to disbelieve in the Jedi Code, and he's beginning to distrust the Jedi as an institution. Not necessarily the individuals within it, although he has his personal beef with some of them, but as an institution.
How's he doing with Kenobi, for example?
Kenobi he's still got a very positive relationship with at this time. Others like Windu are a lot more rocky. The more dogmatic they are, the more rocky the relationship tends to be. But even then, they're all still kind of, they can still kind of get by. But as an institution, as a code, as
just entity,
the validity of
itself of a military even.
Well, the validity of the way that the Jedi operate is becoming questionable to Anakin, because he's more operating as a general in an army than he is as a Jedi peacekeeper. You know, like he is becoming more the former than the latter. So this distrust of the Jedi would only escalate as the war continued on, an erosion of the trust that the Jedi Council actively worsened. During one particularly bizarre plan, historian Friedman notes that his mentor Kenobi, the one, to be clear, he's otherwise had relatively positive relationships with so far, Kenobi fakes his own death in order to
Excuse me, what?
He does this to disguise himself as a criminal. He does this to like gather counterintelligence on separatist covert operations. And like they really go all out for this, right? Like he fully fakes his death, and the Jedi have an official state funeral for him. Anakin is not informed about any of this. He is just led to believe it's real.
That is nuts.
They just don't tell him. They're just like, nah.
This is nuts.
You know, like, you know, maybe.
Hey, remember that like brother figure you've known your entire life and you were totally afraid about losing? Yeah, he's fucking dead.
We're just gonna pretend he's lost. Have fun. It's fucking nuts, right? Like they just make him think his only friend is dead, and they just let it happen. Like, it's bizarre. There is no reason for this.
In what?
Like, they could have just told him. It's so fucking stupid.
Wow.
It's fucking bizarre. So, of course, Obi-Wan is alive the entire time, and he comes out of the undercover operations. But, like, Anakin's faith in the Jedi
How long is he undercover?
Like, it's not that long. Realistically, I think it's like a couple of weeks. Like, it's not that long enough for, you know, to be completely, like, to have Anakin go
like, oh, you've been gone for years, and I have been lied to.
Yeah, it's not quite that level.
Oh, the emotional dysfunction that must have given him.
It's so fucking dumb. But it's just at this point, because it doesn't last too long, it's seen as just yet another small blow that is a steady erosion of that trust. It's not the thing that destroys it completely, but it is a slow and steady erosion, bit by bit. Right? There's not really one big dramatic moment.
Yeah. With these things, you never really know. It's always going to be a lot.
It's the straw that breaks the Hyderian camel's back, right? Like.
Yeah. But I'm just like wondering what kind of a just state of mind could you be in when kind of finding out? Yeah, like we just like
it's not a healthy one.
Friend.
Whatever state of mind it is, it's not going to be a good one. So.
Are there accounts of like him like fucking losing it around when this happened? Was this like a trigger that like later compounded? Because like there have been like moments where previously we've been like famously, this is fucked up, but like is this something that like triggers a further downward spiral? Like I don't want to be like, oh, and this is the moment this happened, but like
I don't think
this is probably a very traumatic experience.
Oh, absolutely. But like, it's really hard to fully tell, because at this point, he's still the poster child, and all his public appearances are very much like he is still the decorated war hero doing well, right? That's how they really want to portray him. So it's quite difficult to find anything to the contrary at this point in time. However, around about a year after this, there's even more erosion of trust in the Jedi. So I would argue that this upcoming one is perhaps a more significant erosion of trust. So his apprentice, so Tano, Ahsoka Tano, is falsely accused of having bombed the Jedi Temple and killed multiple people during the bombing. She is not actually guilty of this. The person that is guilty, Barriss Offee, confesses to the crimes shortly after, and her motivations behind this are, they're kind of messy. She's kind of got very understandable points. She does feel that the Jedi had lost their way, and that this is that it no longer represents anything that she ever wanted. This kind of these group of morally corrupt space cops that now have become army generals. Like she bombs them to make a statement about that. It's probably not the most well thought out thing, but during the process, it's really unclear who the actual culprit is, and people blame Ahsoka. So Ahsoka is held to trial, which is an experience that I'm sure none of us on this podcast have ever had any direct comparison to. And she's exiled. She is exonerated very quickly afterwards because Barriss Offee confessed. Because the confession happens. But if the confession didn't happen, Ahsoka would have been held to blame and exiled from the Jedi Order and sent to a Republic judiciary system, which would very likely in this era have executed her on grounds of treason.
Or just like been an open air prison, which totally doesn't happen in our world and doesn't lead to refugee conflicts. But
it's very, very possible. This is the building of those open air prisons also is happening during this era. It's way earlier than most people think. Like, people consider the Republic a time where things were good, and before the big fall of how things came to the Empire. Like,
before the overthrow of actual semblance of a democracy. But then again, we rarely do realize
very much a semblance rather than a really full democracy, and like that semblance was resting on some really nasty stuff. It's, I mean, I know you know this already, but it's very much a lot earlier that the rot of this and that these really profound evils really sneak in, and they accelerate a lot during the war, especially for prisoners of war. Like, a lot of these proper open air prisons get built as camps for prisoners of war, which at various times can involve entire populations of cities.
Yeah, and then the details get murky on
really nasty really quickly.
Keeping track of all of the conflicts, and then yeah. And so, like, back to Ahsoka Tano, like what ends up happening with her?
So she is fully exonerated. She's completely exonerated of any wrongdoing.
Yeah, because the confession happens.
But she still is embittered at the Jedi and leaves. So she takes her exile and says, "Oh wow, fuck you all, I'm going." Which, it's a vibe.
Kind of a badass move. Damn. Okay.
Yep. I mean, I did it. She did it.
Famously.
There's quite a few people that have done it. There's more than we like to often portray. There's quite a few of us that have had our beef with things and left. Yeah, because wait. So a detail I'm curious about is, like, did the council, like the elder council, the council of elders, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Did they want to apologize to her, or did she ask for an apology, or like did they apologize to her? Or
eventually offered an apology, but it's, as far as she was concerned, that was too little, too late. Which,
yeah. Like yeah, but I was just curious about the detail. Like, did they actually be like, "Hey, we want to offer an apology," and then she was like, "Yeah, sorry, too little, too late."
That is pretty much what happens in this one. Like, it is documented that they did offer it.
And she's like, how old is she when she does this?
This is probably a bit later on. Like, she's maybe,
but she's pretty young. Like, she's not a knight,
17 at this point. She's
famously not a Jedi Knight, right?
I don't think so. No, I don't think she ever gets knighted. At least as far as I can remember, is like she's I remember
you were knighted.
Yeah,
you were knighted when you.
I was knighted before the just before the war really kicked off with Mandalorians.
But you were knighted when you left, basically, and she's not even knighted when she left.
She was younger than me. Damn. Like, she is.
Damn.
She's
okay.
Really
that is exceptional. That is exceptional.
At this point, she fucks off, and We don't
rightfully so, but like that is an exceptional detail. I did not know this.
Considering what happens later, this is probably what saves her life. Because
exception, like this is an exceptional detail. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So she just fucks off. She's documented as there's a couple of photos from the conflicts over Mandalore during this era,
famously,
where she is documented to have been there. There are photos, but what she did, we don't know. She just kind of vanishes from those.
She just fucked off. Yeah.
She makes a very, very good attempt at just going off all books and fucking off. Which, good on her. Fucking good on her. The loss of Ahsoka Tano.
What does Anakin go through?
It's not good for him. So the loss of Ahsoka Tano was reported to have left a great impact on Anakin, with one account by Baver stating, quote, having been falsely accused and cast out of the Order, while the Jedi's once legendary second sight had clearly been dimmed by the dark side, Ahsoka did something few Jedi had ever dared to do before. Despite Anakin's heartfelt pleas to reconsider and a rare apology from the elders who had wronged her, Ahsoka walked away. By doing so, Ahsoka accomplished something Skywalker was too afraid to do himself. He was not strong enough to take a stand and walk away as well. The Jedi Order had been his life.
Fuck.
So, he is also very clearly disillusioned in the same way that she was. If not, more so. But, he is... Considering his history and considering, everything that he's been through and the patterns that he has learned, be the best special boy who is also subservient to the powers that be. But
the space cops,
well, to the Jedi Order and their dogma, or and it's as I do say, there is a point with his childhood here. Be the special boy. If you can be, even though we are going to treat you as de facto property, if you can be the specialist boy, you will get special treatment that will allow you to survive. And if you don't do that, you might well die. That's what pod racing was, right? Because if he wasn't winning the pod racing, if it wasn't bringing in that extra income for his masters, if he got injured, he would just be left to die because he wouldn't be as valuable an asset. Same as going in the war here. If he doesn't prove himself to be a good and glorious war hero, if he doesn't manage to pull all that off, he could die in the war like so many other people did. He has learned. He has learned that he has to kind of stick around.
Padawan?
Sorry?
And losing his Padawan now?
Oh, yeah. So, he's learned that he has to be the bestest specialist servant. Ahsoka doesn't learn that lesson. She has a lot more of a normal iteration of a Jedi upbringing, in that she's parted from her parents at a very young age. She doesn't really remember them. She goes through Jedi training in a lot more of what would have been otherwise normal up until when the war begins. She also the comment that Baver states here about the Jedi Order had been his life. That is that is true, but it's also true for Ahsoka as well, right? The Jedi Order was also her life, but she still chose to leave in a way that he never could. And I think that there's something in that, right? There's something to be considered about why one of them could walk away and the other couldn't. And in my opinion, a lot of this comes down to every single trauma that he's had so far has taught him and reinforced to him the place he should be, which is subservient, but gilded, right?
I'm curious.
He's the songbird in the gilded cage. He is treated as property, but he's treated as property, but treated as valuable. Ahsoka ends up doing the opposite, where she's nothing and she's forgotten by history. She is not considered valuable, but she still gets to go free. And that's probably why she survives Order 66, right?
And I'm just wondering, where do, to come back to Padme and Obi-Wan, where are they in this?
Right. Well, it gets messy with this as well. So we'll just to wrap up the Ahsoka bit. So Baver does go on to highlight the apathy from the council in regards to ever defending her made Skywalker even more disillusioned and jaded towards the council specifically. While this is very much a valid frustration, Anakin's solution to this is to continue what ends up being a slow and steady pivot away from the Jedi Council and towards figures that are much more associated with the far right. So, which is like Sheev Palpatine, right? That's going to be the ultimate one.
Famous.
But yeah. Like
we already know where this is headed, but it's just like
it's a really common story for young men get disillusioned with the lies of liberalism and the lies of those who guard liberalism because there is a lot of hypocrisy in them and trying to choose something else.
Yeah, there is a critique of liberalism that doesn't have to lie within fascism.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's the great deception that he falls into, is that he just buys into fascism. He's not quite fully bought into it, but this is certainly an early phase.
But like this is where the foundations of that of that path are
like this is another.
We can point that like, hey, these are the circumstances where like
you can very
easily tip over.
And this is it's not, again, like it's really hard to point to any one single tipping point, but this is certainly one of them, right?
But like this is where those foundations are being built, basically. Like, yeah, like not to be reductive, but like this is where, like you've believed in, like you previously said, like, oh, he has like 2 feet in this famously, he still flip-flops, he doesn't really believe in anything, and now okay, I am abandoning this dogma that I have previously believed in, and I am building the foundations for something different, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this is where we can, like, would you believe that like this is where that line of separation is like starting to happen? Maybe it's like because he's maturing as well.
Yes. And it's a tricky one because there are absolutely certain members of the Imperial regime who I would say believe in absolutely fucking nothing. Like they just believe in their own power and their desire to wield their own power.
Famously Krennic.
Yeah, that's Krennic. That's Tarkin. That's a lot of these guys. I don't know if it's Anakin. He flip-flops a lot, but I don't know whether that's because he believes in nothing or whether it's because he's really like trialing out beliefs. He's trying to figure out what the fuck he thinks. Because he's still a child, right? He's still barely more than a child. Like he's like, I think at this point that we're referencing here, maybe 21.
And where is he with like Obi-Wan and Padme at this?
Yeah, so Baver has a bit more to say about this. So without Tano's stabilizing influence, Baver suggests that Anakin's attentions and insecurities became more fixated on Padme. While the couple had illicitly married and maintained a hidden romance, the tensions of war and Anakin's wildly unmanaged emotional problems began to spill out into their relationship. Padme may have been having an affair with another senator during this time.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's unclear. There's a lot of speculation about this. Nothing's ever proven. And you'll see why nothing's proven in a moment. So the man that she was theoretically having an affair with was a guy called Rush Clovis. The records aren't really altogether clear what actually was happening, whether this was an affair, whether it was just a close friendship, or whether this was in fact all politically motivated, feigned attraction. There is a suggestion that it might have been that. The specifics of what Padme was actually doing, in my opinion, are less important than the fact that Anakin, upon seeing this happen, violently attacks him. Like,
wow.
Yeah. Baver reports the following, quote, Anakin's seemingly psychotic episode forced Padme to take a cold, hard look at their relationship. The foundation of any union is trust, and theirs had eroded beneath the veil of secrecy. The couple agreed that they should spend some time apart. She no longer felt safe in his presence, a further blow to the fragile ego of one who fancied himself a heroic knight and savior. And that's a deep fucking cut. Like that is we're taking no prisoners here. And this is a very, damning indictment of Anakin's character, and I do think that it's probably accurate, because being cucked as the kids say, seems
Sure.
I know. I find that fucking cringe.
Meetra Surik famously in touch with what the youths are saying.
Politics. Yeah. Famously, Meetra has her own polycule aboard her starship Surik. Famously knows what.
Famously
knows how being cucked feels, and it was truly pissed off about that. Grr. Fuck, like, I don't get these fucking people. I don't fucking get them. But even if you are a more normal...
No, we're gonna blur this out.
It's I mean, do you want to end? Do you want to end? So...
We're gonna also need to blur that out. Bleep it out, producers. Sorry.
So...
Be for real.
Though Clovis publicly denied that Skywalker was responsible for this pretty grievous assault, the evidence surrounding it makes it very clear that it was definitely Skywalker. Like, there is a very, like, it's weird. There's a flimsy excuse that they both make that some random thugs just show up and beat up Clovis, but there is no evidence on any holo record, security camera, or any guard testimony to back any of that up.
Wow.
Anakin just fucking did it, and it looks like it just threatened Clovis into shutting the fuck up about it. Shortly after this,
wow,
yeah, it's wild. Like, he just kind of gets away with it. Shortly after this, Clovis is promoted.
So he gets away with like physically assaulting him. What?
Oh yeah, like physically assaulting an elected official of the Galactic Senate. He just gets away with it. Probably because, you know, he's stopping another elected official and is also a war hero. Famously. Shortly after this, Clovis is promoted to Senate representative for the banking clan, and then he winds up dead several days later with Skywalker in his room. So it's really not hard to put two and two together as to what's happens here. Like, his death is not investigated any further due to the political expediency of the Republic establishing more direct control over the banking clan and utterly fucking the galactic economy for the next several decades, which, yes, to be clear, this is one of the reasons why we also had that massive economic crisis that led to the establishment of imperial rule after the war ended.
No,
yeah, it's a wild fucking interconnection, but yes.
No fucking way.
The dominoes of Anakin gets cucked to galactic economics is also fucked. Like, that's apparently a direct pipeline. Who fucking knew? All because this one guy couldn't keep it in his fucking pants. Vader's dick ruined the economy.
What an damning indictment of all of us.
Truly. Despite Padme's reservations...
What does Padme think of this famously?
Despite her reservations, the couple could not stay away from each other for long.
No.
She goes back to him. She's barely that much older. Like, she's maybe, 26, 27? And that's probably old enough to really theoretically know better, but, like, girl, you can do so much better than your abuser who literally murdered your paramour. It's fine. Just you can leave him. It's okay.
Wow.
But she has also lived her entire life as a political head of state, and that's pretty much all that she's done with her life and all that she's devoted it to. She's not got any romantic experience. The only person that she's got any romantic experience with is Anakin, her abuser.
Wow. So how does this a hot mess of a situation end?
So she doesn't stay away from him for long. Shortly after these events, Padme becomes pregnant. Which is, this is backed up by a lot of data, and it's very depressing that, you know, during certain times, intimate partner violence significantly escalates, and pregnancy is one of those times.
And pregnancy is one of those.
Pregnancy is a very, very significant associated factor with risks of vulnerability and of acute worsening of intimate partner violence.
And domestic violence begins to work in the picture if previously it hasn't been. So this is just...
we can see the direction this is unfortunately gonna go. And I mean, like, we know that Padme dies at the end of this. Like, that this is... she's
murdered, which is very eventually common. Yeah,
it's depressingly common. It's depressingly, abhorrently common, and and that's kind of the thing that I really want to highlight with this whole story, honestly, is just how
depressingly common everything is.
Nearly all parts of this are. Like, a lot of kids grow up in destitution and poverty,
unfortunately,
and a lot of kids have a lot of trauma from that. A lot of kids end up wildly emotionally unstable from that, and a lot of kids grow up and have grown up traumatized from the conflicts and take it out on those that are supposed to be intimate with them.
Yeah,
this is the story of Anakin. Is, despite
one that is
everything else,
depressingly
it's
common.
Really frequent. The myth of Anakin is presented as this very much larger than life figure, but if he was not a war hero,
it's just like you take a peek beyond that.
If he was not force sensitive, he would not be really that noteworthy at all.
Yeah,
he would just be a regular run of the mill bastard. It's only because he's got a lot of extra special point powers that he can really springboard this into the kind of bastard
everybody else's problem, which is why we're here. Yeah,
in a way that is profoundly fucking depressing, because this man is very pathetic. Like,
we have to remember that, like, with these figures, it's just like they are depressingly pathetic.
Yeah, they are. A close friend of mine who is very much a repeated abuse victim, when they eventually got over their like, it's I don't like phrasing it like that, but I can't think of a better way to put it. Like, when they managed to move beyond and get over the sheer harrowing trauma of the abuse, like, it left scars, because it always does. You don't get away from this
you
shit
don't get a
without
choice.
Echoes. Like, you will always have the echoes of that pain, but like, she'd seen her abuser as a monster for nearly all her life, like a terrifying monster. And then when she finally got to the point of actually being able to confront the guy, he was just a man and did nothing more.
Yeah, and
a man that did a lot of damage, that did some really horrible things, but also ultimately just a pathetic, sad sack of shit. And that's... and Anakin is that too. That's the real thing here.
So, where does this go?
So the pregnancy is not revealed to Anakin until after the failed assault of Coruscant and the quote-unquote rescue of Sheev W. Palpatine. This is also the same assault that resulted in the death of Count Dooku Serrano, likely murdered directly by Anakin or killed in the conflict, like during the process of war. Mm-hmm. It's not clear, again, whether this was a murder of a political prisoner of war or whether he died during fighting. Like, we don't have the body. Or at least we don't really have very much. Like, we have fragments of what was found on the bridge of one of the separatist starships, but like that ship had been burned to cinders. The remains of Dooku, we can't tell.
Yeah, no, that's something that's like up in the air, you know.
Yeah.
But like, he's for sure dead because like he doesn't report back to his leadership post, and like that's maybe how
we have a corpse there that we're fairly sure is his.
But like, we are for sure that like he's dead. We just don't know if he died in the conflict or if it was like a personal.
Yeah, and judging
you take a knife, stab a guy 50 times, and then pray he dies kind of situation, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
the Imperial propaganda aggrandizes this as like something that happens, as we all know, but there's just you really don't know.
Yes.
In conflicts like this, it's bloody and messy, and
you often never really get clean answers.
Yeah. But what we do know is, like, for now, like, even I remember this, like, that he's just dead. Like,
so
this is like 100% certainty.
Yeah. My personal theory is that there probably was a degree of revenge involved in this, because it's fairly well known that Dooku was the person that maimed Anakin during the first conflict of the war. So there is direct personal beef there. So it's very probable that Anakin did personally kill Dooku on the bridge. Like, I can't see any other way that could have gone, knowing their personalities. The dramatization makes like a big kind of song and dance over it. It's not clear whether that's true, but I suspect it probably is more likely.
Like, we do have some foundations of like a personal conflict emerging from this, which is like not unfounded, as you said. But
these things happen frequently during conflicts like this. Like, these things can happen.
Yeah, these just like do happen, but yeah, moving on.
In regards to Padmé's pregnancy, it is not known for certain how he took the news. Several historians, including Baver, make note that, quote, Anakin's joy was fleeting, rapture over Padmé's news was soon replaced by fear. While Baver cites no direct sources to confirm this, the claim that this heightened his emotional instability, I think, is probably pretty accurate. I see no reason to disbelieve it. There are some scattered records from Jedi archives at this time that show that he's got some extra meetings with Jedi Master Yoda. This isn't really unusual for Anakin in this era as well, but it is known that he would sometimes go to Yoda for, pastoral care, essentially. When, and if Yoda's the best father figure you got left, then something's gone really fucking wrong. But he would sometimes do that for things that he couldn't go to Obi-Wan about. It's not altogether clear. It's also not altogether clear whether this is where his illicit romance was revealed or to the rest of the Jedi, or whether that was kept a secret the whole time.
Wow, okay,
so there was a chance that he might have told them. There's a chance that the others knew. These things do happen within the Jedi Order. It's not like they are not as significantly kept secrets as people often think. Still, what is far more notable at this point, though, is that not only was he having multiple meetings with other Jedi Council members, he was also having multiple meetings with notable bastard and friend of the pod, Sheev W. Palpatine.
SheeVP.
We love good old SheeVP. He gets fucking everywhere.
Dun, dun, dun.
The specifics of what Palpatine told Anakin
across,
meetings, we don't know what he was doing.
So is this is like before where worlds meet and collide?
Possibly. This is before the hyper wiretapper era. This is like before the Gore Gate scandal. So for once, we don't fully know exactly what was discussed. We do know that reports that were leaked from senatorial aides at this time imply that he was very disillusioned with Republic corruption, very disillusioned with the Jedi as a whole, and to a certain extent, he had a degree of disillusion with both his mentor Obi-Wan and his wife Padme, which, this kind of makes sense given the general disaster of the war. He's had insecurity about losing Kenobi because Kenobi just randomly faked his death that one time. He's had insecurity about losing Padme because he's got insecurity about her having an affair and murdered a guy for it.
Famously murdered a guy who...
Yeah, I mean, well,
he later just got
allegedly famously murdered a guy. It's... We don't know.
Allegedly,
there, but
we don't know.
It's not hard to take a guess. Even so, this is kind of all keeping. This is all in keeping with him developing this kind of constant state of paranoia. Shortly after this, Anakin is promoted to the Jedi Council itself, though the Council actively withholds the rank of Jedi Master for him, a choice that has been presumed to reflect its utter piss bitch mode. it's we're gonna let you in on the council, but we're not gonna grant you the rank of master. That is very much just kind of just spinning his face.
Like, that is taking the piss.
Absolute bitchery. And I think he is pissed off about that. I can, to a degree, rightfully so, but like, it's fucking funny. Like, this is probably a choice that reflects the council's lack of confidence in his maturity. And they're kind of also doing it probably for political reasons, because they see what he's doing and that he's got this close relationship with Palpatine, or this steadily increasing relationship.
Oh my god, are they trying to
they're trying to fucking spy on him,
find out Palpatine's business?
Yeah, they're trying to spy on Palpatine.
Is this where they're just gonna engineer the worst disaster?
Yeah, yes and no. They are trying to spy on Palpatine, and Palpatine is trying to spy on them. And they decide that, well, if we make Anakin,
the linchpin is going to be famously this
emotionally unstable kid who is this emotionally unstable kid who thinks is being cucked by his wife, has murdered multiple people, multiple native peoples, multiple random guys, and keeps committing war crimes for fun.
War veteran and also decorated war criminal.
Aren't those just the same thing?
Truly.
Not that I would know anything about that.
Not that you'd know anything about that famously.
Anything about that. Don't ask me about Malachor. Shortly after all of this, as I say, he is promoted to the Jedi Council. This overall, I think it shows the council's reluctance to trust Palpatine, and it does show that they are likely pushing Anakin into the role as Palpatine's personal stooge, and want him to be a double agent. They kind of want him to be doing the spying. According to Baven, quote, Anakin was gulled by the Jedi's subsequent request, more like an order, which was vouchsafed to him by Obi-Wan. It was a devious and underhanded move for a group that pretended to be the epitome of piety, a violation of the Jedi Code he was sworn to serve that not only pitted him against the Republic, but forced him to betray his newfound mentor, Palpatine, and friend. The assignment locked Anakin into an intense internal battle. It was a conundrum for which there was no right answer, at least not one that he could see. So you have this kid who is barely into his 20s, having been repeatedly traumatized in his early life, learned all the wrong lessons from a disaster war, and is now locked in a room with the galaxy's most notorious drunken, manipulative con man. I don't think, to be clear, Palpatine was probably sober even once during any of these interactions. Like, I don't know for sure, but I highly doubt it, knowing what he's fucking like.
Anakin, listen to me. You will take...
Anakin. You're going
Anakin,
to Naboo.
You're gonna go to Naboo. You'll love it in Naboo.
Anakin, you're going to the gardens of Naboo.
Do you think he just like kind of knew and was like genuinely messing with him?
You're going to love it, Anakin. It's fucking great there. It's going to be great. It's going to be so good.
Anakin, do you genuinely think he knew? Like, he figured out that, like...
Well, that Anakin was being pressed to be a double agent.
Not just that, but, like, also that, like, he could blackmail him with something.
Oh, almost definitely. Like, Anakin's really vulnerable repeatedly, and Palpatine, I'm fairly sure, just looks at that and is like, I can manipulate that. I can
wing this. I can wing this. Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty much what he's done the entire time. It's just, just looks at that being like, dang, yeah, I can make this work. I can
get in the middle of this situation and maintain a balance of power.
Yeah, like fucking Palpatine is the kind of guy that would look at a fucking starship crash and go, "Dang, how can I make this work for me?" And that's what he's doing with
that's what he
train wreck
eventually does, and like that's what's scary, because he's not doing this with like, I don't know, sometimes like, you just like go into a situation where you're like kind of winging it, right? And you actually have Palpatine who does that, but it's not with like, I don't know, flipping burgers or something. It's just like with galactic level politics.
It's
and then you also have this other kid, young adult who's like constantly disobeying orders and also fucking famously winging it.
Mm-hmm. It's a real fucking mess. The whole thing's a real fucking mess. But so, according to one senatorial aide, Anakin apparently thought that Palpatine could do various magical things, including teach the secrets of immortality. And like, I'm not even fucking kidding. Yeah, like, bro, I know you're a space wizard and all, but that's just fucking nuts. Like, yeah, don't worry, kid. I know that you've seen everyone that you love leave you and die, but don't worry, I figured out immortality. All you have to do is sign up to my exclusive club. It's 700 credits a month. I'll teach you how to be a real alpha Chad, not a mortal cuck like everyone else.
Anakin, dearest boy, I had a dream that something terrible had happened to you, my boy. Your life will die, my boy. If you want this gift of immortality, my boy, to be a real alpha Chad, you must first become an even bigger piece of
yeah. It's just an obvious grift the whole way down. It's not even it's not subtle. Like I have seen Andrew the Tate pull off more subtle grifts than this. This is absolute wank. So like but Anakin, he is stupid enough to fall for it. He is isolated.
When you take an isolated and desperate person, this is what happens.
Yeah, like he is increasingly convinced that
it's like this nightmare escalation of like limited bomb warfare.
It's absurd. He is desperate and he is convinced that everything is falling to shit. And to be fair, everything is kind of falling to shit. Everything is kind of falling to shit. War. Like, so he is, like, on the one hand, he is stupid enough to fall for something that is a very obvious grift. On the other, it's like
the many grifts that Palpatine has sold. This is by far one of the stupidest. Toxic bombs, right? Which famously we know was like a terrible idea, and then this, and then you're just like looking at it sometimes, and then you like look at propaganda and like how people like who are obviously very competent at their jobs and whatever fall for it. It's just like you have to look at the social circumstances of like how these it's like very radical very obvious, ideology, and like, do you think that Palpatine believes in something? No, is it just two people who believe in nothing, just circle jerking around each other, trying to convince themselves that they believe in something?
See, I think at this point that Anakin wants to believe in something because he's fucking terrified. And I think that Palpatine is convincing him to believe in absolutely fucking nothing. Like, Palpatine is doing the nihilist grift in many ways. Like, he's like, it's because believe in power. Believe in power for you, and believe that in security of power. Believe in the security blanket of blunt force power. That's all he sells.
Yeah, because if I'm just like putting myself in Anakin's shoes, it's like I've just had one belief system completely shatter, right? Yep. I need to immediately replace it with something, and what better than this piece of shit?
I mean, the thing about this is that
he falls for the grift.
Like, things are falling to shit, and he actively chooses to follow the guy that is making the shit fall to shit worse, just because he is promising a strongman promises. Like, he's just putting it's just
strongman shit. Fascist 101.
Basic fascism with also just a little hint of like personal insecurity being played on as well, and it completely works. But Anakin has frequently had, at this point, fascistic leanings, it seems. According to one biographer, Anakin is reported to have said, quote, "I don't think that the system works." This is in regards to the Republic as a whole.
The Republic system. Like the Republic Senate system. Okay.
The Senate system, the system of democracy that we've all been previously used to before this wonderful tide of fascism that we're now in. The Senate that did definitely have a lot of corruption problems, but like there was a degree of
but like I'm curious
there.
like where this is going, or where what he's saying is going, because you said like I don't think the system works, sure. So where are you going with this?
I don't think the system works. We need a system where the politicians sit down and discuss their problems, agree what's in the best interests of the people, and then do it. If they don't agree, they should be made to by someone wise. And then he decided that someone wise was she fucking Palpatine.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what's wise?
Wow.
You know what's wise? We should kill minorities. We should kill minorities and oppress women. But when women leave the kitchen, we lose the Judeo-Republic values. We must oppress women, Anakin. You have to oppress your wife. If you don't oppress your wife, Anakin, she's going to die. You have to do it. This makes sense, I promise. Like,
wow.
I mean, he's already used to killing minorities. Like, he's already just like he's slaughtered.
This is just not a difficult logical step. How old is he?
22.
Wow.
Like he's slipping right down that pipeline. And
see, I understand. Now I can like kind of see like why that happens. It's not where, but just like why.
Because this is a child, right? Or barely more than a child who just is going like, dang, you know what? I figured it out.
And there's a drunken asshole who's like telling you to commit more war crimes and just like be shittier to your wife.
Yeah, like fucking, yes. This famously not sober guy who's trying to give you alpha chat advice, who believes in a human first ethno-state. And encourages you to continue to be the commander of the war crimes unit. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? He is 22 years old. It's just, it keeps getting worse.
It keeps getting worse.
Some historians point out that the distinct lack of a father figure at any point is what makes Anakin as vulnerable as he is to Palpatine, with Baven stating, quote, Palpatine encouraged Anakin's fiery temper and played on his insecurities. He had offered Anakin belonging and made him feel special. He was the young man he had long called my son.
No fucking way.
Like, come on, man. You could have picked a better father figure. Like, this is the fucking this is worse choice than the guys that saw Jordan B. Peterson as like a legitimate parental guru. You know the guy, the lobster guy. I'm fairly sure he lives on Mon Calamari. Like well, he might not anymore.
Whatever happened? Did he die of? Didn't he like? I think he got like need to have like some weird spice treatment on because of nephron mold.
Yeah, he got like mold infection in his gills. It's a real fucking weird story. But anyway, fucking
isn't his like daughter like pushing some weird like cult? Messianic stuff.
Yeah, his daughter.
Lobsters again.
His daughter has tried to like push some like how the real Lords of the Sith are, can be found in stations. Like, it's
the most benign force in all of this.
It's stupid.
Nephron mold.
Like, it's yeah. If only the mold would come and take us all sooner, I think we would probably all be in a better position.
Not enough mold.
Not enough mold. We need more black mold in our lives.
Mold.
Within several months, Skywalker's loyalties had been significantly divided. Decrypted reports from both Imperial and Jedi archives revealed that he was passing information to both sides in the shadow conflict between Palpatine and the Jedi, which eventually culminated in the attempted arrest and assassination of Palpatine by several members of the Jedi Council, including the famous Master Mace Windu, who died during the attempt on Palpatine's life. We only know scant fragments of the relationship between Skywalker and Windu, but records suggest that it had always been fraught, with Windu often being the most openly critical of Skywalker and the most reluctant to accept him as a Jedi. Reporter Mackenzie Lee stated that even back to his early childhood, quote, Mace Windu scowled at everyone like that, though he did seem to have a particular frown he reserved just for Anakin. And this kind of particular antipathy is corroborated by multiple other reports from various historians that suggest that he was always the most critical of Skywalker of any member of the Council. It is not hard to imagine that he represented to Anakin everything wrong with the Jedi. Regardless of how true that sentiment may be, that's the way Anakin probably saw him, right? So, the specifics of what happened in Palpatine's Senate chamber on the evening of this attempted arrest are unknown, but what we do know is that all the Jedi that attempted this arrest were found dead by the morning, except Anakin. Mace Windu's body, notably, was found with significant electrical burns and his sword hand severed with lightsaber burns at the wrist. He was also found 150 stories below Palpatine's window. 2 months later, the Imperial coroners would rule this a suicide.
What a damning indictment.
How do we feel about that one, Zenna? How do we feel about the Coruscant police? I for one, have.
You know what can make this situation better?
Mm-hmm.
Suicide.
Oh, yeah.
That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry, but like, what kind of.
I mean.
What kind of nonsense? Like.
This is the same the same Coruscant police. Like this is Compnor shit, right? This is where they really become the force that we now know on Coruscant as like ISB adjacent. This is the point where they do start tying people up in bags, throwing them out windows and shooting them in the back of the head and ruling it suicide. Like we know
the MO. Is this a moment we can point to and be like,
this is where it begins, I think.
This is where it begins, right?
Yeah, because this is where they really start to kind of, again, it's shortly after this that Palpatine really consolidates all the power and gets he puts everything into the executive.
Can we use this event as like the benchmark of like, okay, this is where power begins to be centralized, and then the ISB is like formally created, right?
I think so.
Can we rule this moment as that?
I think that this is. I don't think that this is exactly the tipping point, but I do think that this is where it begins.
This
is
like the precursors, like the foundation is laid.
This is this is where a precedent is set, or rather the coroner's report is where a precedent is set.
Yeah, like the foundations are laid.
That report doesn't come for another 2 months, and that is after Palpatine has declared the Republic an empire. That happens. So he has consolidated power in many other ways first, and I do think
in many other ways, and then he does this,
and then he does this as a real kind of show of, so like it is very much a fuck you, and it also happens after Order 66, right? Like this is like a fuck you. It's very much a fuck you to the final legacy of what remains of
just like damn.
So the circumstances of this particular night of violence are pretty unclear, and so are the motives of Anakin at this point. Given his completely divided loyalties, many historians are also divided as to whether he genuinely wanted the death of his former comrades of all these Jedi in this room, or whether he simply dug his own grave too deep and felt that he could no longer back out.
Yeah, because like he was fucking selling secrets to both parties, famously.
Like he might have.
You know what can be better, but between like being forced to spy on a person, also selling secrets to both. It's unclear if this is something he actively desired or whether it's something that he felt kind of pushed into because he had no other choice. Whether he did have another choice or not, I think it's very clear that he probably had many other choices he could have picked at multiple points here. But like what is the motivation of like? He's paranoid as all hell. Like he still thinks that Palpatine, to be clear, drunk boy McFucko Palpatine, drunk asshole.
He thinks that this entirely not sober piece of shit is the key to immortality and to save his wife, who he thinks is going to die because he's seen everyone else in his life just up and vanish at random intervals. And it's like, it's this, and he thinks that he owes Palpatine somehow for this. Like, that he owes him for being able to save. I understand
that he thinks he owes Palpatine somehow.
And also, just to be clear, it's not just like to save his wife for benevolent reasons. It's to save Padme for the sake of control. Because this is really where he's at now. Like, control is what he feels he lacks. And it's really all.
And then he thinks like immortality is the way to get this.
I don't think he's operating like his engines are not firing with every gasket here. Like I don't think he's completely thinking rationally at this point. Sorry, I'm fairly sure that the war has just taken its toll, and he's just being manipulated, very very clearly being manipulated.
Wow,
it's so fucking dumb. But this is
like
22.
The world's most moronic cult. Genuinely.
It is the galaxy's stupidest fascist cult, but he doesn't really know better, and he is 22. But the pipeline for him, in a way that like it is the pipeline for a lot of guys in their 20s, the pipeline is there, and he just falls straight down it. Now he falls down really hard and really far down this pipeline. And I think that there's reasons for that.
So what does he do after this?
Well, at this point, this is where he starts calling himself Darth Vader. This is where I think we do need to kind of appreciate how fucking cringe this is. Like, yeah, he's calling himself Dark fucking... He's calling himself Dark Daddy. That's like me calling myself Dark Mother. Which I have definitely never done and never encouraged anyone else to do. And I'm fine.
We need to bleep that out.
I'm fine both in and out. Thank you for asking.
Bleep that out as well, please. Thank you.
I'm glad that our censors have a lot to unpack.
Thank you, producers. We are sorry. We are deeply sorry. Also, really.
I don't think either of us are particularly
sorry. Do you know who else loves to call you Dark Shadow Mother?
Well, I don't know, Zenna. Who does?
Would it be the products and sponsors of this podcast?
I think
also love to call you Shadow Mother. Or Shadow Darkness.
Shadow Heart, Darkness, Mother Darkness, Emo Girl 666, Dementia, Raven, Way. Let's go to ads.
And we had the bit.
Attention, Coruscant law enforcement. You took an oath to protect and serve. To keep your family, your empire safe. But in sanctuary planets, you're ordered to stand down while dangerous illegals walk free. Join the ISB and help us catch the worst of the worst. Spice traffickers, Hut Cartel members, Jedi. Join the mission to protect the Empire with bonuses up to 50,000 credits. And generous benefits. Apply now at joinisb.gov and fulfill your mission.
And we're back.
Wait, did we just run a fucking ISB ad? Oh, for fuck's sake.
Behind the Banthas is a production of Corellian Zone Media. For more from Corellian Zone Media, visit our HoloNet archive at patreon.com/Solmatul or check us out on YouTube.